The victor is the person that has a mentality of, I'm going to seize the day, the opportunity, no matter what, whether I sold 20 today or 0 today, or I sold 100 this month or none this month. I just work the same mentality, the same play, and I play to win.
Hey there, and welcome to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam, and I am here to help you grow your business using proven strategies from experts all around the world. And today, you are in for a very special treat. I have shared the story many times about my beginnings in my career and how I fell into door-to-door sales and learned some of the most powerful strategies and lessons over the course of a very short period of time, but things that I still to this day use on a daily basis. Now, I am really excited to introduce you to a very special guest, the amazing Sam Taggart. Sam is the founder and CEO of D2D Experts and D2D Con. Sam is all about using cold calling and door-to-door skills to not only enhance your business and grow your business, but also to enhance and grow confidence and courage, and most importantly, to close sales, something we all need to do. The skills that Sam shares and teaches are so impactful and yet so avoided by so many people. So today, I think this is going to be a very powerful episode for many people. If you're listening to me right now going, oh, this does not sound like something I want to be doing. I don't want to be cold calling. I don't want to be doing door to door. Just hang in there, because Sam's going to share some of the strategies, tips, and tricks that help him to build long-term, powerful relationships that grow business. And most importantly, he's going to share the importance of consistency and how to be consistent. Even if you've never done door-to-door and cold calling and you have no intention of doing door-to-door and cold calling, I know that you're going to get so much value out of this episode. So grab that pen and paper, because man, does he drop some golden nuggets along the way, and get ready for some really impactful learning today to help you grow your business wherever you're at right now. Don't forget as well, if you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes, and share this with a friend. If there's somebody else who's in business with you, maybe someone in your team that you want to inspire and help them to grow, please go ahead and share this with them as well. But that's it from me. I'm going to hand over now to the amazing Sam Taggart. Well, hey there, and welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I am so pumped to be joined today by the amazing Sam Taggart. Thank you so much for coming in and joining me today.
Pumped. This is fun. All the way from Tasmania.
I know. And I was hoping we could do this in person, because you're in Utah and we were just there, but it just didn't line up. So we're doing it from the opposite side of the globe, but I think it'll still be powerful.
Love it.
So Sam, for our audience who don't know you yet, and by the end of this podcast, they're going to know a lot about you. By quick introduction, you are the founder of D2D Experts. I'm going to say that's door-to-door experts, right?
Yep.
You're the best-selling author of Eat What You Kill, and I want to learn a little bit more about this. You also are a self-confessed serial entrepreneur, and I love that title so much. So welcome on in. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us, especially, I want to hear about this book, Eat What You Kill.
Yeah. So, I started door to door when I was 11. I think Utah is known for kind of an entrepreneur mecca. My dad was like, hey, you want a phone? You want a car? You want a motorcycle? You got 2 legs, go knock. You know what I mean? And so I started selling, magazines, and I got into curb painting all through high school. And then eventually it was like, the rite of passage in Utah was like, go knock doors, go on a mission. I went to Argentina, and then it was like, just keep knocking and get paid to do so. And, a lot of network marketing companies are based out of Utah, and then a lot of door-to-door companies are based out of Utah, because there's so much synergy. It's recruit more people, sell more people, and that's how you build your business, right? Yeah. And so since 2008, was really my first summer doing alarm systems. I then worked my way up to being number 1 out of 3,000 at Vivint. I then was a VP of sales in a solar company for 100 some people. Then I built, for over the last 8 years, a big coaching company. And then we do, you know, we've done tens of millions of dollars of revenue in events, coaching, online, masterminds, etc., and have impacted tens and tens of thousands of people on a direct selling side of things. And so Penguin Random House reached out, and after a New Yorker article came out on me, and they said, we want to make a book around just like that art of direct sales, right? And so we, wrote a book over the last couple of years. It came out in January, called Eat What You Kill, Becoming a Sales Carnivore. And I think in this audience, there's so many people that will preach and sell you some marketing funnel, some AI gimmick, and then it's all great. It is coming. But I think we're losing, and there's this vanishing art of just face to face, or pick up the phone or go hunt and just do, like, pound the stone. And I think too many people are getting lazier and lazier around just the metric of, did you make your dials? Did you go out and network? Did you go out and knock in any of these businesses? And I feel like that art is becoming more and more coveted and
Yeah.
more valuable as technology continues to advance. And so it's like 300 pages, of just how to go mindset to pitch craft to present craft, objection handling, closing, for anybody that's in direct sales or trying to get their people more motivated around a carnivore mindset versus an herbivore mindset.
I love that so much. I cannot explain to you how excited I am about this conversation, because I really think, a lot of us, one of the biggest things that people are afraid of when they come into business is the selling aspect, is that concept of, I need to cold call. Yet I think anyone who's been successful in business knows that in order to become successful, you have to master the art of this. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care whether it is retail, whether it is direct selling. This is a really powerful skill to learn. But I think there's this misconception from so many people that it's really, number one, old school, and number two, that it's not necessary today to cold call and do that direct selling. So I'm really excited to hear a little bit more from you around how this, some of your top tips, how this is important, how it can be used, how you've used it. And I really want to encourage anyone listening to this, even if right now you're thinking, well, but I don't cold call, or doing door-to-door sales isn't what I do, just stop and listen, because there is so much that I think you can learn from this amazing man and what he does. And I think this is a really important skill. So just really quickly, because this for me is a personal question I want to know from you, because I started out in door-to-door, so I get how interesting this can be. What is the most unusual thing that's happened to you, Sam, while you've been knocking doors, when you've been pounding the pavement?
There's a lot. Knocking as many years as I did, I mean, I could think of 50. But I'm going to tell you a story about the first year I was out in Dallas, Texas, and I'm 18 years old, and I'm, fresh out of high school, first time living away from home, and I moved to Texas to go sell. But to back up real quick before I tell you this story, I kind of want to validate what you just said. So, like, a lot of people on here are listening, like, well, this isn't applicable to me. I'm not in sales. I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you're running a business or you're trying to pitch, like, and you don't think salesmanship in your marketing strategy, in your conversation strategy, it is the key differentiator between somebody doing 10 times, 100 times the volume than you. And
Yep.
like, all people aren't just created equal. And I'll explain this in a minute, because I would do, when I was doing alarms, I did about 10 times what the average person did in the same amount of time, same amount of neighborhoods, same product. It's like, how does one person sell the amount of the average of 10? And it has
Mm-hmm.
everything to do with salesmanship. Like, it wasn't
Yep.
I was working more hours. It wasn't I was, in a different area or a different product. And I think that's where people fail to think, this mindset of like, oh, this isn't applicable. I'm like, how about you're just not knowing how to convert your effing leads? They walk into your store and you don't know how to convert them. And I
Yeah, right.
remember I ran a booth for my ex-wife's baby romper company. We exported these baby rompers, and I'm at a pinners conference. There's 2,000 booths, and we were slinging these baby rompers right and left, and all the booths around us were just sitting here watching us. And I'm like, aren't you guys ever going to sell anything today? You know what I mean? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
we're aggressive in closing and we're here to collect money. So if you want to make more money, then this podcast can be very, very relevant.
Yeah.
But too many people are in the business of saying I have a title of entrepreneur, but they make no money. And I'm like, that's not fun. So I'd rather have no title and make a lot of money. So let's go back to the story real quick. But anyway, I just wanted to reiterate that because I've helped more people make more money faster than I think a lot of people in this world. And that's what I want to help people do on this
Yeah,
podcast.
amazing. I got to ask Sam though, before you tell the story, we will get to the story.
I know. I was like,
at the end of the podcast, the story will
we'll
come
get
out.
to the story. Yeah.
But do you find that you get frustrated? Because I certainly do. You know, I learned from some incredible people when I was going through the very beginning of my career, and from learning from those people, I learned the value of constantly learning. And some of those salespeople taught me strategies that now to this day have become like everyday behaviors, just habitual things. But do you find that you get frustrated because of the training you've had, because of what you know, because of the success you've achieved in selling, that when you walk into a store and somebody doesn't try and close you, you get frustrated at them?
Oh
you
my
just
gosh.
you
In my
almost
book,
want to walk out because you just out of principle, like you don't deserve the sale.
I have a whole chapter on this in my book, Eat What You Kill. And I was going to buy a truck and the guy was so bad at selling. I was like, dude, this is one of 2 trucks in the entire state of Utah that I want. You happen to have it in your store, but out of principle, I have to go to the other one
Yeah.
because you didn't sell me. And I said,
Yeah.
I've written 4 books, 2 sales books. And I'm like, the problem is I can't buy from you just out of principle. And
Yeah.
I tell my sales guys, I'm like, your sales guys selling sales training. And if you suck at selling sales training to a salesperson, it's like that's a triple miss. And I literally looked at him and I listened to one of my guys trying to close yesterday. And I go, dude, you notice how at the end he was like, I get it. Thank you so much for persistently trying to close me. I'm a salesman. I respect the hustle and the close. I go, good, because a good salesman's going to be like, if you didn't try hard and you didn't persist, then I'm going to like judge you even harder. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the problem is most people get in this mentality of, well, I'm not a salesperson. I'm just a stay-at-home mom, or I'm a this, or I don't want to come off like that, or I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that pushy. I'm like, I hate to break it to you. Selling is because you care enough about them that you know your skill set enough to influence them to buy because you know it's good for them. And if you didn't believe in your product, then yeah, you shouldn't sell. But if you believe in what you're selling, you should get really good at it so you can get more people in the hands of more people so that you can help more people. But if you
Yeah.
are the one getting in the way because you suck at communicating,
Yeah.
now nobody gets the value of your service product or your goods, then that's your fault, you idiot. So you're just the friction. You are the thing in the way of serving. And if you look at selling as serving, then the only way I can actually highly impact you or serve you is to close you.
Yeah.
And so the issue is we've got it backwards of like, well, I don't want to bug you. I'm like, well, don't you want to help them? You're bugging them by wasting their time with a terrible conversation for 10 minutes and never selling them anything. To me, that's bugging.
Yeah. I love that. I love that something you just said in there, I think, is the key. And that is, and I was having this conversation actually with one of our members yesterday because I could tell that the problem was not the product. She had all of these reasons that, oh, well, what happens when you can't get the right product? Or what happens when, your product doesn't have free shipping and other companies do? And I realized that she was the friction point. I was like, you don't need to convince them. You're the one that needs convincing right now. And I love what you said there, Sam. I think there's so much value in that. Just if you are not certain, get certain first, because that's the part that's going to be so obvious to anyone that you're trying to sell to if you're the one not convinced. And we've all been in that place, to be clear.
And under the same product, like I grew up in Park City, Utah, where we didn't have a house key, and then I went and sold alarm systems. Like still to this day, I have my keys are in my truck in my driveway at all given time. But then I had to go sell alarm and break-ins and security when it's like, do I believe in this? And I had these testimony like moments of like, I got to like self-convince how I'm going to believe in this at such a high level to sell it at a high capacity.
Yeah.
Because you might be selling something boring. Like I help roofers and pest control and, all sorts of things like candles. Like I had a concrete guy here the other day. I'm like, you probably don't get jazzed over concrete, dude. Like it's pretty boring. Like if you think about it, but it's like, the reality is he's got to find the way to become the expert, get jazzed on effing concrete. And that's what they got to
Yeah.
get jazzed on. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't care what you're selling.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the story.
Yeah. Let's
I'm
hear the
18,
story.
I'm 18. I'm knocking this neighborhood, and this big old black dude, not like I'm talking like the size of Shaquille O'Neal, like massive. He answers the door, and I'm like, whoa. And he's like, oh, hey. And I was like, whoa, I was not expecting him to sound like this. You're thinking like, yo, bro, what's up? Like, you're in Texas, like used to that. He's like, come on in. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's not your typical response to a door-to-door person. And then he's like, you want to see my toys? And I was like,
Oh no.
uh-oh. So he takes me to his walk-in closet. And on my way to the closet, he's like, oh, I trained with Chuck Norris. And he like literally has pictures of him and Chuck Norris, the fighter, literally training. And he's like, I'm a double black belt. And he's all like super femmy, but he's a double black belt. He's like 7 feet tall, massive black dude. I'm like, this is the most confusing scenario I've ever been in. Now I'm in his closet. He's in the doorway and he's showing me his dolls. So he's like got all these Barbie dolls like in packaging
This
still.
is like serial killer situation here where you like just get out.
I am now between him and the door. I'm in closet and he is between me and the door. And I'm like, he's a double black belt. He's twice my size. And I'm in a closet looking at dolls right now. This is where it ends. And I'm like, sell my way out of this one. You know what I mean? So I'm like, flirt to convert. Like, I got to figure something out here. So I get out, luckily, of the closet. And then I run his credit, Phil's credit. And then he invites me to Joe's Crab Shack for dinner. And I'm like, okay, I just got to go. Like, I got to go. And anyway, it was like one of those moments that you're like, I probably just avoided like straight up dying in some crazy serial killer. But I mean, there's so many crazy stories from hoarders. I mean, I had this lady that had like a dead dog in her living room that had to have been there for like 2 years because like maggots had eaten most of it. And you're like, just clean up. You know what I mean? I don't know how people live like this. You know what I mean? There's cat poo everywhere. Like I could go through so many guns getting pulled, thrown in jail, spit on, crazy story after story. And I think this is the crazy part is that is like the refiner's fire so that you're like, okay, when I go to entrepreneurship or I'm dealing with issues, I'm like, at least you're not in 110 degrees getting guns pulled on you and spit at. Like you picked up a phone and guy told you not interested on a lead you got. It's like, I'm so sorry. That must have been so hard.
Really tough. Yeah.
Yeah, like so it's just the rejection handling, the thick skin, the repetition, where I think nobody really gets that experience where Sam, you've had that experience that now gave you the confidence to go do hard things. So I look at it as like the maturation period of a college kid going through college or every entrepreneur I think needs to go through a sales experience to where they got those reps in because they try to go run a business before even knowing how to create revenue. And I'm like, there's your mishap. You didn't put in the reps to then be a business owner. So now you got to at least go through that refiner's fire for the 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So that you have the skin that knows how to go convert and make that revenue.
Yeah. I know it doesn't sound like a very glamorous place to be, but I'm just going to say that period of time in my life where, like you, I was getting sworn at, I was getting escorted out of places, I was getting yelled at, I was getting doors slammed in my face. There were also incredible experiences in that time as well. So I don't want it to sound like it's all, crazy and scary, but it was also the greatest period of learning I have had in my entire career in that short space of time. And for me, that in person was only 3 months of doing the pounding the pavement for door to door. I then moved into sales and marketing where I was still cold calling and I was doing a combination of phone and door to door, but it was different. It wasn't quite the same. So that period of 3 months for me was the biggest learning curve. And things I learned in that time have served me every day in business since. And I just wish everyone could have that same experience,
Well,
because you're right.
you look at Sarah Blakely, Mark Cuban, Paul DiGiorgio, Russell Branson. I could go down 20 billionaires
Yeah.
got their start in
Tony
door to door.
Robbins. Yep.
Like they started in door to door, and you're
Mhm.
like, maybe there's a trend here, and it might be D2D business, it might be whatever, but it's like you you learn so much around communication and just
Yeah.
like how to handle human because of the reps that then it carries into everything.
But what you said before, the fact that it's refining you, but it's also really toughening you up, I think that resilience is the key more so than anything. Yes, communication is so important. We're going to talk a bit about that today, because you've got seconds, right, to get someone's attention to. I used to say, when someone says you got 5 minutes, in the back of my mind, I used to say, I don't have 5 minutes. I've just got 5 minutes to impress you. Then I got all the time in the world I want. But the thing is that resilience for getting no's, for it almost became a game for me. I don't know about for you, but it was like, I know if I get 3 no's, I'm going to get a yes. So I'm just going to chase the no, because eventually the yes is going to happen.
Yep.
But I used to gamify it for myself, and I still do it to this day. And don't think, by the way, anyone who's listening to this, that I'm not in door to door anymore. I still have to network. I have to cold call. And if I don't have a successful business. And I don't see how anyone who is running successful business can do it without either doing these processes themselves, even to this day, or being able to train others to do it for them, because sales is still a critically important part of growing any business, right?
100%.
So what I really want to know from you right now, though, is how do you move from where you're at into going, you know what, I am going to build, and you've built an entire brand and movement around D2D sales, door to door sales. What drew you to switch from I'm in the industry to I am now going to impact other people and train other people?
I didn't choose this. I felt like God just called me. And
Mhm.
it sounds weird. I'm on a 3-day fast in the desert by myself on like this meditation retreat. And day 2, I have this like vision where it was like, you need to go unify, up level, bring honor and integrity to the door to door space, because everybody listening to this is like, I'd never do that. Those people are crazy. And it's like, it has so much shade, so much shame, so much, stigma to it. And I'm like, no. And it had no resource. It had no support. It had nobody like evangelizing. Like, this is life changing for a lot of people. My sister texted me today. She's 19. She just got home from her first 6 weeks of selling. She just is on her way home from Arkansas right now. She's in massage school. She's like, I want to go do 6 weeks of selling pest control. And she texts me and she goes, I'm never effing doing that again. But you know what I mean? But she's like, I'm so glad I did it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I just think of, as she goes into massage therapy or whatever, she's going to be able to take these lessons that not every massage therapist probably had to go through that training ground, like what you just said. And I'm like, she's grateful she did it. You know what I mean? And I go, nobody's talking about where most parents are like, I'm not going to let you go out into random strangers' neighborhoods and you might get abducted and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Go talk to strangers. Go get out there, get uncomfortable, like go learn this skill. So then I was like, so all of a sudden God's like, hey, go start this conference, call it Door to Door Con. And I'm like, no. And then it just kept knocking on my door. Like spiritually, I was just like, somebody's got to effing do it. I'm going to go do this. And I couldn't do both. The reason I was such a good recruiter, think of network marketing. It's like my influence was already so strong at recruiting. So I couldn't convince other people to show up to my event if I was still recruiting their people. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? It was like this, you can't serve two masters moment. And so I'm the VP of a big solar company, and I had to kind of I had to draw a line in the sand and be like, okay, I'm Switzerland now. I am neutral. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, well, I luckily had made a ton of money in door to door and I can live for a while. And I was like, I guess we'll figure it out. And I didn't make a paycheck for a year and a half. I grinded it out. I like had just consulted here and there and through different events and tried this and tried that. And then, every year we've just kind of steadily grown and been able to really see, I kind of had to figure it out as I went, because I like threw mud at the social media people. I threw shade at the freaking dudes that were gurus, because I was like, I'm a door knocker. Like, and I still say I'm a door knocker at heart. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to go freaking hit the doors. And I think, I don't know. I felt like there's so many more people out there that were on the other side of like, can you just give me some help? And, last week I went to one of my friends hosts like a little mastermind for a bunch of like 19, 17, 18-year-old kids. And I was able to train 35 awesome youth on just like sales. And then yesterday, my wife gets her car detailed by a girl that I'd helped since her junior high school. She starts a car detailing company. And, now 4 years later, she's got her own warehouse shop and she's got her own brick and mortar. And, just like coaching her through this, I'm like, I just was playing the game of fulfillment to be able to take my wife's car to this girl, Izzy, and be able to be like, girl, remember when you were in my little sales Shark Tank competition and you took second place with this idea and now you got your own brick and mortar? And you know what I mean? Just like I got
Yeah.
so much more fulfillment out of taking a business from 10 million to 100 million and helping a guy go overcome that sales fear than
Yeah.
maybe just going out and doing it myself. So I played more of the fulfillment game, and you give enough people what they want, eventually get what you want. And I've
Yeah.
been blessed since, so it's been cool.
Oh, I love that so much. And, a couple of things that you just said there, it's the difference between someone owning a car detailing business and knowing how to upsell people to some product and being able, and you were talking about your sister with the massage, most masseuses would just massage and be done. I believe that someone who's got some of these skills that we're talking about here today is the person who, without fear, asks the question, hey, would you like to buy this extra product? And that's where the profits come in, right? That's where the extra revenue comes in. It's not from it's like whenever you get a facial or you go to the hair salon, they make their money off the stuff that they sell you that you take home. But
100%.
most people are afraid to ask that question. But anyone who's been doing this, who has developed a bit of that thick skin, has no fear whatsoever, because they know
Yeah,
that the worst that could happen is someone says no, right?
100%. 100%.
So I want to ask you this. We've talked about how these skills, door to door skills, cold calling skills, apply literally to anyone, no matter what their industry is. Even if you don't sell something, you still have to sell concepts. If you're in politics, you're still selling. And I think, by the way, politicians could really do with learning more about door to door sales, but that's a whole nother
We've
conversation.
helped a lot of politicians with different campaigns. So
I know, right? But the question I have is, what do you think are the core D2D or door-to-door skills that apply to any kind of selling? Whether it's, you mentioned online, so whether it's online retail, network marketing, what are some of the core skills that you think translate across all of those industries that are important no matter what?
well, think of like hook. Let's just take like, what's your initial 30 seconds? If you
Yep.
got 5 seconds on a social post, you've got, a quick little, they were going to read the caption at the very top of your website. You're going to get 30 seconds in because they're going to hang up after you give a pause. Do you
Yeah.
capture their attention? And I think, the cool part about door to door is like you get to fine tune it 100 times a day. Every time you knock, you're just like, okay, was I standing wrong? Did I not smile the right way? Should have I shaken his hand or not? Like, what I
Yeah.
mean? You've got so many little variations you can play with. And you're like, what's hooking somebody to say, I'm going to lean in a little bit more and listen to the next 30 seconds, what you're going to say. The next
Yep.
one is like problem solution transition. So think of like selling is about understanding a problem, creating a program that solves the problem. So the program could be, hey, here's our lip sense, retention, or lipstick is going to stay on way longer, or our
He knows
massage.
his products in the industry. I love it.
Yeah, like, or you take like massage, right? Let's say
Yeah.
that I'm trying to get more massages. It's like, hey, I have a 6 week program. We come every week for 6 straight weeks, because most massage therapists, they just, it's more for relaxation. I'm here more for an actual solving. So we actually call this the 6 week therapeutic solution, because we found that at 80%, we actually can resolve some of the more chronic problems through our 6 week program. What do you want? Do you want a one and done and then it doesn't really do anything and then you're just kind of back to where you were? Or do you want like an actual solution that's going to help the chronic pains that you've been dealing with?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how I just turned a
Yeah.
problem, which was the chronic pain, or like, why are you getting a massage in the first place? Most masseuses don't even have to ask that. It's like, you came in here, why? And if I understand why you came in, I now
Mm-hmm.
know how to get you in even more. So now
Yep.
we're going to sell you a program that's going to solve the problem of why you come in. And now I'm going to just 6 times my revenue because I sell, let's call it 50% of my people that come in on a 6-week program instead of just hope they come in again.
Yeah, so
Does that
good.
make sense? So I think
Yeah.
that piece of knowing how to programify a
Mm-hmm.
solution to their problem is the most valuable thing because then the next one is asking for the business. And I think
Yep.
most people's fear is, did you close? Did you ask for the business? And I think we call it the killer of the pause or the gap. Is
Yep.
most people go through a presentation, then they just shut up, and then they hope the customer's like, yeah, okay, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. Like they're just like waiting for
They'll
this,
do it
like
for you. Yeah.
they're gonna say yes for you. Hate to break it to you, most people don't want to say yes to anything. They're non-committal. They want to be told what to do. They need to be guided. They need to
Yeah.
be invited. And so until someone in sales learns how to make a good ask, and an ask could be like, all right, what's the best email? I'll send you the ticket. Or, hey, do you want me to get you on the 6-week or the 12-week program? We give
Yeah.
you a little better discount for the 12-week.
Mhm.
Which would you rather have?
Yeah.
Or it might be, does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
there's a few ways to go ask for the business that might not be like, so do you want it? It's like, and I think the skill set of being smooth where it feels like a warm knife cutting through butter versus this awkward dance of like, I think they're interested, but I don't know when they're going to sign up. And you're carrying around a bag of maybes and you've got this pipeline that's like forever long of you trying to like hound these people until they say yes. And nobody even likes that experience. So it's
Yeah.
just like the better you get at transitioning people into the next step or phase of your offer, the the more money you make and the better you
Yeah.
help people. And I think
Yeah.
those three pieces, and I'd add a fourth piece, which I think would be the mindset. Are you an herbivore? Are you a carnivore? Are you a omnivore? Do you have this belief that you can do it? Are you sitting there beating yourself up and anxious all the time? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Asking yourself, like, what are my thoughts and my
Yeah.
beliefs and my perceptions of me and the product and the customer? And like, can I bring positivity? And the mental side of it, I think, is a game that not enough people talk about. But I think 80%, Brian Tracy said 80% is mental and 20% actual skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that you know what, so much gold in there, and I actually just want to talk about the pause for a sec because you talk about the pauses in the wrong places, but there are times, right, where a pause is really powerful. I know, and I'm curious to know what you think of this because this was one of the strategies I was taught really early on, um, and I use this now even in negotiating. And my husband now knows what I'm doing because I've talked to him about it when dealing with the kids, for example. But I used to. Well, I will say to him, the next person that speaks loses. So, in other words, when you've asked for the sale, what I was taught was at that point,
At
once
that
you've
point, shut up. Yeah, yeah.
shut up, because the next person that speaks loses out because either you're going to create an objection or you're going to give them time to think, but everyone wants to break the awkward silence, right? So what, like, is
That
this a
that's
strategy you
that's called the silence close. But you're
use?
doing that intentionally at the time when you know you should. The
Yes.
problem
Mhm.
is most people don't know how to ask and then shut up. They
Yeah.
just they just word vomit and present, and we call those professional presenters, not closers. And closers are
Yeah.
the ones that get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's so true. And it is about learning to sit with the awkward silence too, though. I find that at first I failed miserably at that strategy because I'm a talker and I don't like awkward silences and I would want to break it. But it wasn't until my mentor said to me, you need to get comfortable with the awkward silence because they're just as awkward as you are. But if they speak first, they're going to talk themselves into it or they're going to give you the objection so you know what you need to deal with, right?
100%.
So On that note, I'm really curious to know from you, Sam, what do you like? You have seen so many different people in different walks of life, in different companies doing different things. What for you is the number one biggest mistake you see people making when it comes to cold calling?
Not doing it. I know that's a terrible answer, but it's
No, it's good. I like it.
so I did a training yesterday and I talked
Yeah.
about kind of four things and they were asking, some solar company and I said step one, right place, right time. Meaning I think the problem is I struggle at getting people the right place, the right time. I just sent out a Slack message to my team. I have probably 8 salespeople that sell our coaching and stuff. And it was a simple report that goes out at 3 o'clock that says how many conversations you had. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it's 3 o'clock. And I was like, there's 3 of you that have only talked to 3 people. Wrong place, wrong time. I'm like, you're not. And then I followed it up and I said, you're not going to make money talking to 3 people by 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Like, no offense. I don't even have that good of a ratio, guys. I call the same list. I'm 70 times better than you. No offense. I call 3 people. It doesn't mean I'm going to get a sale.
Yeah.
I know my numbers. So I'm calling the same leads you are. I'm Sam Taggart. I don't sell today. So do you think you want to make money in this? Your 3 conversations today. Problem is wrong place, wrong time. You have not put in the work. You have not picked up the phone enough. You've not made enough repetitions. You need to get your ass like at 100 conversations, not 3, bro. Unless those were like 3.5 hour conversations, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, unless you talk to like, I don't know, which I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
So pick
Yeah.
up the phone more.
Yeah.
And,
So good.
I think that is like the bigger struggle is we call it death by business cards. I remember I spoke for Tony Robbins and Dean Graciosi's group or whatever. I did like a webinar for all their entrepreneurs and I didn't
Yep.
know who was going to hop on there. And all of a sudden I realized it was like a ton of moms that sell like fitness coaching or personal coaching or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I called it. I picked on 3 random people out of a couple hundred people. And I was like, let me coach you right now. And they were like, okay. And I go, let me guess. How many? I was like, how long you been doing this? Like 8 months. Okay. You got a website? Yep. You got business cards? Yep. You got a logo? Yep. You got shirts? Yep. And I go, now how many customers do you have? And they were like, well, none. And I called the 3 people I talked to were over 6 months into the business and none of them had a customer.
Oh my goodness.
And I go, holy crap, cool business, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, so I remember my first week ever in solar, I had no shirt, no website, no business card, no logo, nothing. And I
Mhm.
just went and knocked. And I
Yeah.
remember a guy my first day, he's like, so can I get a card? And I was like, no.
No.
He's like, what's your website? I was like, I don't know. And I still set an appointment. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, doesn't matter, does it? I'm here right now. We're going to do this. I had no
Yeah.
idea what I was doing. But I'm like, go get your first 50 customers, go get your first 10 customers, then talk about a freaking cool frisbees you can throw at people and shit. Like, I watch people geek out about the wrong things in business
I
way
know.
too much. And I'm like, how
Yeah.
about this? Pick up the freaking phone and get some
Yeah.
customers before you worry about those things.
Yeah. I love that so much. You speak my language here, and you're making me think about some of my own behaviors off the back of this experience. And I think this is definitely what separates a lot of people. But I will often find myself at a convention or corporate event, and someone will ask me for a card, and I still to this day forget to bring them with me everywhere because my focus is booking a meeting. It's just, I'm just going to get you into a meeting. We're going to meet one to one, or we're going to have a Zoom. But I don't need, if I give you
Handing
a
you my
business
card
card,
goes nowhere. I've
yeah,
learned
where
that
does
in
my
door to door
card
sales. Right?
go?
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's very rare to have someone go, hey, so I'm reaching out to you because I just found your card or I had your card and I was holding on to it, desperately waiting to make this appointment. If they want to make it, they'll make it with you right there and then.
yeah.
Um, so I want to talk about mindset because you said how important mindset is. What do you believe is the mindset of those, or one of the mindsets of those that separates those that thrive from those who quit or those that sit on the business card, so to speak?
So think of it as like I have a chapter in my book. It's called The Victim, the Survivor, or the Victor. And I think there's kind of the 3 categories. And most sadly fit in the victim category of they blame the product, the area, the
Mhm.
leads, the whatever. And I'm like, are you
The
effing kidding
postage.
me? So I started a show. Our first episode just came out on our YouTube channel. If you go to D2D Experts YouTube, it's hilarious. And Friday I filmed my second episode, which is going to be even more exciting than my first one. And it's called Will It Sell? Meaning, can I pick a random product in a random neighborhood at a random price and go knock and sell? And so I picked chrome cleaning tire services. Like all I clean is the chrome of the tire. I don't even clean the whole car. And I sell my second person I talked to. So Friday, I'm going to go out and sell tampon subscriptions. And just like I just said, give me the most random shit. I'm going to go knock doors and sell it.
But like seriously, I would buy that. That would save me so much hassle.
Exactly. Like I'm like, I actually think I'm going to crush this shit.
Yeah, I don't think that's hard.
So I'm like, give me the most random thing. And the thing is I have the mentality of I don't care the area, the product, the price, this. Like I'm
So
gonna figure out a way to make it happen instead of
Yep.
make the excuse of like, well, no one was home and blah blah blah. I'm like, then go find people home. Like you were just in the wrong place. Like, look for cars, you idiot.
Yeah.
And then they always blame why they suck at life. Number two
Yep.
is Survivor, where they find complacency at the level in which their mindset says they should live. So
Mhm.
if you're like, I was used to making 60 grand in my old job, I might maybe make 65 grand. And I'm like, I'm living, I'm paying my rent. I got my car payment paid for. We're good.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're not good. Like you have an uncapped potential, but you literally capped yourself at complacency because you've got your needs met. And we call that a survivor. And I think too many people, they look at their paycheck every Friday, and that actually is to their detriment because they're not looking at the leaderboard of top 1%. They're not looking at the game to play.
Yeah.
They're just looking at what are my needs. I need to sell when my needs aren't met. I don't sell when my needs are met.
Yeah.
And the victor is the person that has a mentality of, I'm going to seize the day, the opportunity, no matter freaking what, whether I sold 20 today or 0 today, or I sold 100 this month or none this month. I just work the same mentality, the same play, and I play to win. And I treat it more of a job or more of a sport than I do a job. And
Yeah.
too many people treat this as a job. And if you're in sales and you're treating it like a job, you're going to make job like money just over broke. And if you're going to treat it like sales and a game and a sport, I look at LeBron James doesn't need to keep playing in the NBA. He's got enough money, right? Like he's just playing to win. Like you get in professional status and they make a hell of money, but that's a byproduct because they're so dang competitive. They're just trying to be an all-star. Does that make sense? Like they just live their whole life to be seen, to have the ego, to wave the flag of top X, and money follows that.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think it takes a certain type of personality or character? Some people are just not built for this, couldn't do it no matter how much you teach them, and others are naturals, or do you believe that anyone can learn this stuff?
Both. Meaning, if you took a disc profile, you have driver with D that are like more of a bull personality. Then you have a socializer and you have I. You look at like the different pieces and it's like, okay, if I am like not very ingenuitive and self-driving and direction and bold and can get out of my way and like just go, then I'm probably gonna be less successful just based on like statistics, right? But then I interviewed a guy on my podcast called the D2D podcast, and he spoke about the introverted seller. A lot of people think you got to be an extrovert to sell, and he wrote a book, and and I'm like, I've seen that proven wrong very many times. I actually am jealous sometimes of the introverted seller because they connect better, they have more empathy, they have, they're less intimidating, and use those strengths. So just because you're an introvert or an extrovert doesn't make you better or worse. And just because you don't come from sales doesn't make you better or worse. Because it's not in your bloodline doesn't make you better or worse. You didn't grow like none of like that. I think is the myth. But I do believe there are people that just naturally want to hide and need somebody to tell them where to go, when to go, how to do it. And like if they don't have somebody else beating the drum, it's harder for them to just naturally get off the couch and just like activate as a solopreneur.
Yeah.
But if you're in a good environment and a good culture and a good team, that guy might actually thrive a little bit stronger as long as they're held accountable And I think that not everybody's built to be a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a business owner. And some people are more built to be an entrepreneur that needs somebody to yell at them every day and be like, where are you at in your numbers? And then they thrive. And then
Yeah.
there's some people that it's like, no matter how hard somebody yells at you, you're just like, dig my heels in and do the opposite. And then it's like, but it's for your good. And I'm like, okay, you're just going to let your ego get in the way. And then you're just going to stay complacent and suck. Like there are people like that want that. And that's how they live.
Yeah. So coming back to something we talked about earlier, you mentioned, getting people's attention quickly and the tiny little things that can make the difference, from the handshake to the way you stand, to the way you smile. And I know that to a degree, some of that stuff is very much true. Also, what you said before about just pick up the phone or just knock on the door is also very true. But how do you, and what tips could you give someone who's thinking, okay, if I've really only got seconds to get someone's attention and get someone to hear me out, how do I make that first impression, or how do I start that conversation so that I can earn that time from them? What are some of the tips you can give them to quickly earn that trust and get that attention?
So let's just bring it into kind of two categories to simplify it. You have one category of people that are highly assertive, and then they're not as social. So we'll talk social and assertive. Okay. These two categories. So somebody that is more social, you're going to want to be social first, business second, right? You want to make a friend. Somebody that has low social and they're high assertive, you want to be business first, then social. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I think quickly reading what are they giving you is going to be the determinant of where do I go? Do I go business first or social first? Because my whole goal is not to waste their time nor my time and buy time, right? And if you're too social with the people that aren't wanting to be social, they're going to be like, dude, you're wasting my time. What the frick are you doing? I didn't have some dude show up at my house or call me to make some random small talk friend. Like just get to the point. For me, somebody tries to sell me, I'm just like, give me the numbers. If it logically makes sense, I'll buy it. Like I'm pretty easy to sell. But you've got to just like break it down logically for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about, okay, how do I make that initial pass? I always try to say, my goal is to be their friend and bring enough interest or solving of a problem as quickly as possible. That's my goal. So if I can see a problem, solve a problem, and say that as quickly as possible, and do it in a likable way and their likable way, meaning be a chameleon, like adapt in their likable way, I will have much more success. And I know this because I would send, dudes into a neighborhood and then I go right behind them a week later and pull out way more deals. And it was a week right after they would knock it. And they're like, I talked to all those people. You're like, yeah, I know. It's like, but they're like, well, how'd you sell them? They all told me no. I said, I know. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you didn't know how to open the conversation to where they wanted to talk to you. It wasn't that they didn't want it. Proof says in the pudding, a lot of the people that you talked to wanted it. Obviously, I just made a ton of money in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Why did they not want it from you is my question.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a tough question, but it's such a true one, right? I know we're going to start to wrap up. I feel like I could talk to you about this forever because there's so much to all of this. But I'd like to know, just before I get into my 4 fun questions here, Sam, what's the best piece of sales advice you've ever received?
It was funny. This happened recently, which I really liked it. I'm working on some M&A. I'm buying a few companies right now, and this one guy that was the dad of a company that we were buying, he used to train with Brian Tracy. He's this old guy. He's like, I need to sit in the meeting and make sure this is legit, right? And he's like, puts his like Brian Tracy coaching hat on. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. Brian Tracy was like my like mentor in sales. Like his books were like my sales Bibles, right?
Mine too. 100%.
And it was cool. The chief editor of Entrepreneur Magazine on Sunday texted me a picture. He was in Boulder, Colorado, and Barnes and Noble, and my book was right next to his book in the Barnes and Noble. And it was like this moment of like, that is so cool. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, it was kind of a cool moment for me the other day. Anyway, so the guy said, he goes, Sam, what's the best sales process? And I go, well, I have a 5-step door. No. And I was like, what's the best sales process? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. He goes, the customer's buying process. And I was
Oh,
like,
right.
I go, that's good. And so the second you can figure out their buying process, and it might be simply asking. So ever
Yeah.
since then, I go, so, and I sell to a lot of business owners, right? Those are like, I'd say 90% of our clients run businesses. And I'll straight up ask them at the very beginning, hey, before we get so far into this, I don't want to like go through all of this without understanding what needs to happen for you to say yes. I'll just ask it right at the beginning. And they're like, well, I usually have to run it through my accountant or I have to, you know what I mean? And I'm like, cool. Is it worth even the conversation now, whether we get your accountant on or should, you know what I mean? And I can just
Yeah.
solve the problem really fast. And I
Yep.
found the faster I understand somebody's buying process, the more frictionless my sales process can be.
Yep. Yeah, so good. Oh, I love that. All right. So, Sam, just as we finish up, I want to ask you four of my favorite questions. The first one of these is, what is your favorite book for us to add to our accelerator book list?
Awareness by Anthony DeMello.
Awareness. Okay. This is not one that I've read, so I'm going to have to check this one out. Can you give us a bit of context around the book?
It's pretty self-explanatory. Awareness. um, it is not a sales book. It is more of a mindfulness, like
Yep.
woo-woo book.
Love it.
But it's this Indian dude out of, and he's just like this guru. And I listen to it because he's hilarious as he reads it. But it's just about really unboxing or unlearning. So much of our world is actually just perceptions we've superimposed on ourselves or others upon us
Yeah.
in a unhealthy way. And I
Hmm.
think really to find growth, a lot of it is actually just to unplug from some of the constructs that we've taught ourselves from our parents or our teachers or our old habits and environments that we grow up in. And it's like, we are infinite beings. We have ultimate abundance. And it's kind of like, okay, then why aren't I tapping into that? It's like, well, I'm just not aware of my issues. And so if I can unwind that, I can now start accessing more and more abundance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a well done book. I love it.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to add that one to my list too and check that one out. I was so sure you were going to give us a Brian Tracy book, by the way, but I think we've already got all of them on the list. But I always love to hear from another Brian Tracy fan. So, if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would it be and why?
Fly. Uh, I just think I love extreme sports and flying has always been one of those. You're just like, man, how convenient would it be if I could just like zoom over Superman style to wherever?
So, if you love extreme sports and you're in Utah, do you paraglide, parasail, paraglide,
No, I
Para-
just freaking my one of my sales guys just got way into it, and I was supposed to get a wing the same time he did, and I ended up not getting it. But he's no, I have not. I mean, I've done it, but I haven't like I don't own my own wing or
you're not
like
a pilot yet. They call them
no,
pilots.
no. But like
When
he's like training on a speed wing because he wants to learn how to. And this has been on my bucket list is hike up on backcountry skis and then you paraglide down on skis, and
Oh,
so
wow.
which is like so cool. Like you know what I mean. You're kind of like flying but skiing and then bouncing. Anyway, it just seems epic. So
We when we were in Utah, we stayed just below. I think it's called Steep Mountain. And as we would walk out each afternoon, we would see literally hundreds
hundred.
of paragliders
It's one
above
of the
our heads.
greatest spots. I used to live right next to that, so it's like
Yeah, so amazing. Yeah, it was beautiful. Anyway, we went up there for 5 days in a row to try and catch the right wind conditions to go. And Greg got a 20-minute go in, but we've got the baby. And so we're trying to do a switch and then the wind dropped out and I didn't get to go. So I did
damn.
not get to try it, but I'm really super jealous because it looked incredible. Um, your favorite quote?
So I'm gonna do the one out of the book that I love, and it says, "Oh, it just went away. Hold on." Uh, this is from Anthony DeMello, and this is one of my favorite quotes in the book. It
Mm-hmm.
says, "What I really enjoy," and it's about love. And I know it sounds weird and I don't want to go business. I'm just going to totally curveball everybody. It says, what I really enjoy is not you. It's something that's greater than both you and me. It's something that I discovered, a kind of symphony, a kind of orchestra that plays one melody in your presence. But when you depart, the orchestra doesn't stop. When I meet someone else, it plays another melody, which is also very delightful. And when I'm alone, it continues to play. And I think there's a concept of where most of the time we attach to things and it's just unattaching. And that could be to a partner or it could be a whatever, but it's like this concept of detachment to things and saying my symphony doesn't stop to play when shit hits the fan or a relationship falls through. Or, I think like rejection's God's redirection, but because it's like this element of we don't sometimes we think that the music stops playing in our lives too often when in reality it's just another melody that gets to
Yeah.
come.
Yeah. So good. I love that. And I think in a way it's a curveball, but in another way it's still so relevant to what we've been talking about. So
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Last question is if you could go back in time and say one thing to your past self, what would that be?
I think as a teenager, it's kind of where is my past self? Like, what am I 7? Am I 12? Am I, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go to like
Could be
high
yesterday.
school. Yeah. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I was gonna say I made some dumb investments. So
Yeah.
hey, don't give your money to John or Mike,
Yeah.
like on the record, okay?
Yeah.
So
Invest
I
in Zoom. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like make some better investment choices. But I would say when I was in high school, I had 6 brothers and sisters, and my parents are awesome. We have super tight family, and I think like I didn't see my parents as like my best friends, and I
Mm-hmm.
think now being a parent and now seeing my relationship with my parents, it's like they were actually way cool. And I probably should have been way more open about, girls or my situations or my problems or my whatever, right? Like, and so I just look back and I'm like, I think I've sheltered myself in fear of maybe not being liked or judged or whatever. And I think it wasn't until recently that I'm like, hey, mom, this is what I think about religion, or this is what I'm actually dealing with. No, I actually don't do that. Like, I know you think this, but I'm not that. You know what I mean? And she's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
cool. And you're like, oh, you didn't disown me when I said that?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I think we
Love
get this
me.
like, yeah, you still love me? Like, and I think there's this like weird interpretation we have with our parents that we think they're going to disown us if they like find out the true us, or we don't bring honor to them if we like fully
Mhm.
authentically live our lives. And so I think if I would have given myself more grace at a younger age to just be more authentic, they would have actually really appreciated that and still loved me. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, how do I introduce you to my children right now? You need to start teenage retreats, Sam. I think that's your new thing.
Thought
Um,
about it. I know. Literally,
um,
me and my wife, we talked about this. We were like, we should start a no phones detach camp, and we just send 2 weeks in the mountains. There's no technology, and parents send their kids there, and we just like
you
just
can't
mess.
you can't do it because you'll get overrun. You have so many kids, you won't know what to do with them all.
I know. I know.
Actually, to be fair, for that same reason, you could probably charge an insane amount of money and still be full. I think every parent will want.
Every parent be like, can I send my kids to the detox camp?
Yeah, please, for the whole year. Just we
Yeah,
just
just
whatever
can
camp
I?
you're doing.
Well, my
Yeah.
parents were that way. Like when I was 4, my brother was 14, my sister was 12, my other sister was 8. My brother, we grew up in Park City, and my parents were just like, you're getting too spoiled to my brother. We're moving to the Philippines for a year to work in the orphanages every day. And we literally moved to the Philippines. Like my dad's version of like that was like, F it. Like he just went to the Sierra Leone for a year. He just got back in December. Like they are just kind of like, F it. We're moving to a third world country in the poorest areas and we're just going to serve.
Wow, they sound like incredible people.
They're amazing people. That's why I'm like, why was I such an idiot? Like,
Well, I think you're doing amazing things now. And Sam, if any of our audience want to reach out, connect, find out more about you, get hold of your book, where can we send them?
at the Sam Taggart or D2D Experts, the DDExperts.com. Just go look me up online. I'm in pretty much every platform. And yeah, shoot me a DM on Instagram. That's probably the best way to connect. And happy to help. We've helped, hundreds of different industries. I don't care if you're selling freaking candles or you're selling, a service or whatever, right? Like we really do have a really cool angle and approach to converting better revenue, and have helped a lot of people across the world. So been fun.
Amazing. And you've also got D2D Con that you run as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
right? Which is an event
yeah.
that happens. Now you're about to go international with this.
Yeah, next month is our first international, Canada, and then hopefully Australia next year. So, we host
Amazing.
events monthly. I mean, we had a guy in Australia come to ours 2 weeks ago, and all over the world they come out to our trainings. We do business ones, sales ones, recruiting ones,
So good.
and just how to really grow sales, leadership, and recruiting are our three pillars. So
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for joining us today. Make sure you grab Sam's book as well. I think we're going to put all of the links to all of this in our show notes, so you can check that out. Grab those links, grab those resources. But thank you again so much, Sam. I really appreciate your time, and I really want to encourage people, take some of this and push their comfort zone. Just, pick the phone up or pound the pavement. I cannot express how valuable these insights Sam has left us with today are. So thank you, Sam.
no, thank you, appreciate you.
And thanks, of course, to our amazing listeners. So great to have you tune in again this week. If you've loved this episode and found it valuable, please share it with a friend, someone who might also find this valuable. Let's help impact as many people as we can. So thanks again, everyone. That's it from us this week. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.